On November 28, 1970, Betsy Aardsma, a 22-year-old graduate student, was found murdered in the library of Pennsylvania State University. She had been stabbed to death in a seemingly random attack, and the case has remained unsolved for decades. The mystery surrounding Betsy's death continues to intrigue investigators and the public alike. Betsy Aardsma had come to Penn State from Grand Rapids, Michigan to study English. She was described as a bright, ambitious, and friendly young woman who had a promising future ahead of her. Her murder occurred in the stacks of the university's Patty Library, a place she frequented to study. On the fateful day, Betsy was in the library, browsing through books when she was attacked. Betsy's body was discovered later that afternoon by a fellow student. She had been stabbed once in the chest, and the wound was fatal. There were no signs of struggle, which led investigators to believe that she knew her attacker. Strangely, no witnesses came forward, and the police found no immediate clues to point them in the direction of a suspect. The murder was incredibly shocking, especially because it occurred in a public space on a busy college campus. What made the case even more perplexing was the lack of a clear motive. Betsy Aardsma had no known enemies, and there was no indication that she was involved in any disputes or dangerous activities. There was no sign of sexual assault or robbery, which left detectives to wonder whether it was a crime of opportunity or something more personal. In the weeks following the murder, several theories were proposed, but none led to a breakthrough. One of the first suspects was a man who had been seen near the library at the time of the crime. However, there was insufficient evidence to link him to the murder, and he was eventually cleared. Over the years, other potential suspects were considered, but the case remained cold. The lack of forensic evidence made the case even more frustrating. DNA testing, which could have been a valuable tool in the investigation, was not available at the time. The police did not have the means to connect the crime to any known suspects, and there was no physical evidence that could have tied anyone to the scene. Betsy's murder became one of the most baffling unsolved crimes in Pennsylvania. One of the most puzzling aspects of the case was the fact that a man had been seen leaving the library shortly after the murder was believed to have taken place. The man, described as being in his late 20s with short dark hair, was never identified, and his connection to the crime was never confirmed. Witnesses had reported seeing him in the library before and after the murder, but no one could recall seeing him near the victim at the time of the attack. Over the years, investigators have pursued several leads, including reviewing other similar crimes that occurred in the area during the same time period. In the early 2000s, there were suggestions that the murder might have been linked to the so-called Happy Valley Strangler, a serial killer believed to have been active in the region at the time. However, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to connect the two. In the years since Betsy Aardsma's death, her family and friends have continued to seek justice for her. In 2005, Betsy's case was reopened, and investigators began looking into new leads. Despite advances in forensic technology, the case remains unsolved. The police have not given up, and the hope of finding the killer persists. The murder of Betsy Aardsma remains one of the most enduring mysteries in Pennsylvania, and it continues to haunt the community. As new technologies emerge and investigators continue to review the case, there is still the possibility that the identity of the killer will be revealed. However, as of now, the case remains one of the most tragic and perplexing unsolved crimes in modern American history.